Hey guys, thanks for coming back to my channel. It's good to see you. Kevin here. We're halfway through May. May's flying by, which means we're that much closer to June, which means semi-annual sale for Bath & Body Works. We'll start to see fall candles probably mid-June, late June, around there. That's usually when they start to put them out. I've even seen Yankee Candle before in years past put their fall releases out in May, so later May. That's not unheard of with Yankee Candle. And of course, Goose Creek and Kringle are getting earlier and earlier every year. You've got Homeworks doing the Christmas and July stuff, which that kind of puts them behind a little bit, which is disappointing because they kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit, so to speak. But we're officially headed out of summer burning or spring burning in this household. So I've got my top spring candles for 2024 in this video. No certain amount of candles here either. Notice I said candles here because I want to be specific with that. I'm not just doing the fragrances. Sometimes that can kind of get lost a little bit in translation. I feel like when you're doing a top list like this, is it your favorite fragrances for that specific season, or is it the best candles that you burned for that season? There's a distinction. I promise you there is. Some of these that I'm gonna mention in this video were not necessarily my absolute favorites in any of my hauls. Some were, but some of them were not. And they kind of really took me by surprise once I started burning the candles. And also, things that got left out of this list, the burn, the strength, and the throw, that can also affect making it into a list like this. So I made it very specific to mention candles here and not just the fragrance overall. I burned upwards of 50 candles this year. Now I know for a lot of people, that's probably gonna seem crazy, but in the candle community, that might even seem a little bit restrained too. So it really just kind of depends on where you're coming from. If you're watching this video though, most likely you're gonna be in the candle community and you're gonna be familiar with burning a lot of candles each season. 50 candles, that's a good amount to choose from. I know that's not as much as some people. For obvious reasons, I don't have as much as some, or I haven't burned as much as some, and that is the caveat. The one caveat for this video was I had to buy the candle this year for spring, and I had to burn it this year. So it can't be an old candle. And that is one thing I did want to mention real quick, was that some of the candles that, or a lot of the candles I noticed this year that I did burn, the better candles, the things that left the better impressions for me, they were older candles. So I don't know why. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to that. Especially with Homeworks. My Homeworks candles always seem to do better once they've been sitting for a year or so, or even a few months or a few seasons. Homeworks specifically, just kind of mentioning them because I purchased the most Homeworks candles this spring. They were probably my most disappointing candle company this spring as far as strength and throw goes. I'll get into that a little bit more. Let's get into this video. We'll start off with my most impressive company this spring, and it is Goose Creek. Actually, no, we're gonna start off with Kringle real quick because they didn't officially make it into this list. None of the Kringle candles that I purchased this year would make it into this list. One of them would have, but there was an issue with the wick, so I couldn't officially include it in here. And it was this one right here. It was Crushed Blueberries. As you can see, there is only 2 wicks left in this 3-wick candle. I'm assuming it's buried in there somewhere and it just came loose and it just kind of crumbled into the wax. Sorry about you, Kringle. I did not get to try their Easter candles this year. They didn't have a good amount of them in stock when I was ready to purchase. So yeah, not gonna be able to include any in this list. Oh well, not a huge loss, I don't feel like. Okay, let's get started with Goose Creek. I've got quite a bit of Goose Creek candles here. We're gonna start with this one right here, Southern Gardens. This was the candle that was Goose Creek's version, or their take on something like Dune Grass from Yankee Candle, or Beach Grass from Bath & Body Works. Of course, we had this one from Kringle this year, Botanicals. It was actually a fragrance that I loved on first impressions, but just was not very strong. was definitely more of a bedroom candle. So this one kind of took the lead there with that as far as that fragrance goes. And this is the one that I'm gonna officially include in this list. Southern Gardens, if you like kind of those dewy, green, wet florals, that is one I highly recommend. Not for the faint of heart and not for the people that do not appreciate your florals. The next one, also from Goose Creek, was this one right here, Green Seagrass. It was actually a repurchase for me, and I burned through 2 of these candles. This could have ended up being my absolute favorite candle this year, very similar to Yankee Candle's Green Grass, but it just did not have a real typical Goose Creek strength and throw. Probably one that I enjoyed more in the bedroom on both of the candles. It probably maxed out at about a 6, I would say, at its strongest points, and probably a 4 at its weakest. Even in the bedroom, it was not real strong overall. When we're taking into account the entire burn of the candle, it would occasionally pick up. That's not really the case with most of my Goose Creek candles this spring. This candle was just slightly less than I would have really needed it at to have it be something like my top overall candle this year, but it was still really nice. Just wish that one threw better. It really needed, you know, a couple of notches, I would say, to really kind of work its way up to the very top of my favorites this year. This one right here from the Peter Rabbit collection, I feel like was highly underrated and just kind of overlooked this spring. Pink Peonies. I know florals are not for everybody. We're not getting a lot of people talking about florals here on YouTube. I know most people are just fans of the gourmands or the fruities. I know the candle companies are really kind of focusing on those 2 things, those 2 categories, but Goose Creek did really well with their florals this year. This was a very kind of aquatic feeling, very watery, kind of stemmy green fragrance. I mean, that one took me by surprise. I did not know what I was gonna end up getting. It ended up being a huge winner for me. And I think, okay, I've got 2, no, I've actually got, wow, I've got quite a bit here from Goose Creek. This one right here, Butterfly Garden, a very nice apple kind of floral fragrance. Now they have an apple blossom candle on their website, but go for Butterfly Garden instead over that apple blossom if you're looking for something in that vein. This one did really well as far as throw, probably a 6 or a 7. No issues with the burn. Strength and throw was quite adequate. Loved that one. Mentioned that in my haul from Goose Creek. This one right here, Drenched Daffodils. This is the daffodil fragrance. If you're a daffodil lover in home fragrance, this is the one from, I've seen several this year from many different candle companies. This is the one that you want to own. Drenched Daffodils from Goose Creek. Through really well, probably at times a 7 or an 8 on its highest end. Never really got to where I could not smell it. Was one of the absolute standouts. I would put this in my top 3 spring candles for 2024 from all candle companies. And there are 2 others that I'm gonna mention before I get through this video. And let's see, this is the last one from Goose Creek. It was this one right here, Key Lime Cake Pop. This was a tremendous thrower. We're talking a solid 8 from Key Lime Cake Pop. This is very similar to Bath & Body Works Key Lime Pie. If you have not experienced that candle from Bath & Body Works, give this one a try, or if you have and you really liked it, give this one a try, Key Lime Cake Pop. Now let's get into Bath & Body Works. There are a few here from Bath & Body Works. One thing I did want to mention, because I saw this on a random YouTuber channel here recently, and probably a few weeks ago, I would say, and they mentioned something to the effect that the reason they don't burn a lot of Bath & Body Works candles anymore is because they just don't do as well as they used to. That's kind of a strange comment to me. I mean, if you've been with Bath & Body Works for a long time, you've probably experienced the ups and downs of the candle company. I like them. I feel like they do a really solid job. Are they inconsistent? Yeah, a little bit. Year to year, you know, it just kind of depends on what you're going to get year to year, season to season. But I do not agree with the fact that they don't do as well as they used to. That to me is just a really confusing statement. Of course, they didn't really go into much detail with that statement either, as far as, you know, giving a time frame. of when they used to do really well, or used to do a lot better, I guess. And they didn't really go into the issues when they made the comment. So they left it very vague. Saying something like that just doesn't make any sense. Their candles are always inconsistent. I mean, they always have been. Go look 10 years ago. There's a YouTuber, Balladeer something, that used to really kind of love Bath & Body Works candles. Her YouTube channel was brought up because of Bath & Body Works, and you can go and watch some of her reviews from 2013 and 14, her last years, I think, on YouTube. And she just absolutely trashes the candles. I mean, she was just fed up with them. So, I mean, could it have been that time period? I don't know. That's 10 years ago. We're going pretty far back there. But 5 years ago, Bath & Body Works used to be known for Punewick syndrome. I mean, cotton balls constantly with this candle company. And again, I don't dislike Bath & Body Works. That's just part of purchasing their products. They are inconsistent. I'm used to that as things that you have to get used to and expect, or come to expect over the years. So I just don't feel like that their candles don't do as well as they used to. They've always just kind of been hit or miss. Every single candle company that I talk about on this channel can wear that glove. So you could mention that with all of them. That's just life with burning candles. You cannot expect them to be 100% consistent. And especially with Bath & Body Works, you want to say that about Homeworks, sure. Now that is a statement about Homeworks that is absolutely true. These candles are not near as strong as they used to be. I would say Homeworks on average are probably, on average now, maybe a 4 or 5, I would say, out of a 10, strength and throw. Whereas they used to be maybe a 6, 6.5 on average. So we've gone down almost 2 notches just with the average Homeworks candle. I feel like I still have a couple of Homeworks candles in this video. And let's not forget about Bath & Body Works. Let's talk about them real quick. This one from the Bridgerton collection was Wisteria Garden. Now, the only thing I know about Bridgerton is that I've seen them being advertised on the International Delight coffee creamers. I know nothing about the TV show other than it is a TV show. My influence with these candles right here had nothing to do with that TV show. I just thought this was a nice fragrance. The Danbury Shortbread as well, which is not officially in this video, was really nice too. This Wisteria Garden was not as unpleasant as I think a lot of people might have expected it to be. It's got a fruitiness about it. It mentions sweet rosewood, English rain, and lemon petals. There's something fruity in this, like a peach or an apple, or maybe even a melon. As far as florals go, it is not as heady as some of my other florals. Wisteria Garden was a really good one from Bath & Body Works this year. This one right here, Main Street Bakery. This is, to put it simply, a banana pudding fragrance. This is going to be one of my last candles, bakery candles, to finish this spring. And then the last candle I have from Bath & Body Works in this top spring candles of 2024 is Iced Lemon Pound Cake. This was the best lemon bakery fragrance that I burned this year. There was the Goose Creek Lemon Butter Cake that was pretty abysmal for me. There was the Limoncello Cupcake. There were 2 different Limoncello Cupcakes from 2 different candle companies, if I'm not mistaken, that just did not give me what I got from this Iced Lemon Pound Cake. This was a phenomenal lemon bakery fragrance this spring. Now let's finish up this video with Homeworks. They were by far my most disappointing candle company this spring. Like I started off this video with, I purchased more Homeworks candles because I wanted to have a better overview of what I was getting. I wanted to have more instances, more things to go off of, to kind of give an accurate representation of how I feel like their candles did overall for the entirety of spring. And they were just consistently the weakest candle company, the fussiest candle company as far as their wicks go. Probably the most overpriced candle company too. Having said that, we've got 3 candles that I absolutely adored this spring from them. This one right here, Honeysuckle Mimosa. This was a fragrance that came out for the first time in 2021 or 2020. I think it might have been 2020 actually. I loved it, guys. It was a huge winner for me back then. Same with it this year, more of a bedroom candle. Did not really do much for me out in my open space. Once I put it in the bedroom though, it shined and it did so well. If you like honeysuckle, this one adds a little bit of an almond sweetness to it. Honeysuckle and almond for the early spring months, perfection. This one right here, surprisingly, I mean, shockingly even, probably my strongest candle that I burned this year for spring, regardless of candle company, was Coral Poppy. Now, the notes on this candle, we get things like Peony Blooms, Coral Poppy, Meyer Lemon. This right here is a plum. It is a very tart plum. If you like plum, you would absolutely adore this candle. We do not see many plum fragrances, and that name is so misleading. Even the label here, I mean, there's nothing really that you could say is a plum on here, right? I mean, unless I'm missing it. Coral Poppy, I mean, there's nothing really corally about this. You know, there's nothing of the sea about it. There's nothing really very floral about it. It's just a really strong, juicy, ripe, tart plum. And it really stood out for me this year. But that one, that was my #1 candle this year for spring of 2024. And we're finishing up this list with another candle in my top 3, which is very ironic because I've got 2 from Homeworks in my top 3. And I said overall that this candle company was the weakest for spring. It's this one right here, Pink Geranium. Again, we've got a little bit of a misleading name and label. This is all about the orange blossom. It is a soapy orange blossom, a really kind of high-end orange blossom, but a little bit old school, a little bit green, a little leafy too. Very much reminds me of Personal Fragrance, that style of orange blossom. Pink Geranium, not a huge thrower by any means. Probably threw a little bit better than Honeysuckle Mimosa though, just not as powerful as the Coral Poppy. Okay, not near as powerful as that. I'd say a solid 6. The original Pink Geranium that I had back in 2018, that was a solid 8 throw. This one kind of stuck at about a 6. I still really liked it. It was still really, really nice in the bedroom. I don't burn a lot of different places in my house. The bedroom did it really well. The living room, not so well, but I could still smell it in the living room and kitchen. Just didn't leave a huge mark on me when I had it out there. So I kept this one in the bedroom the majority of the time. I also burned a 2018 version of Pink Geranium this year. So much stronger. Direct comparisons, you can kind of make that with a few of their fragrances. Some of the candles that you've had a few years are noticeably stronger than the ones that are newer. I don't know if that's a thing with the candles just having to sit or not. I haven't done enough testing and burning of their candles to really provide an exact science, but Homeworks was so disappointing this year. I know they have their, what is it, their barbecue collection and a drink collection too, that are several different fragrances. They also have like a carnival themed collection out right now as well. We're seeing Bath & Body Works put out their summer collections. Like I mentioned, Homeworks got a few of their summer collections as well. Let me know what your favorites were for spring and summer in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.